I'm Damian Barrett and welcome to Access All Areas. Some big finals winners and some very disappointing losers. Matty Lloyd and Jimmy Bartel, what was your main observation from the first week of the finals?
Mine is the fallout for the two losers, Damo. Yeah, we came into the start of the season. Could Geelong and Sydney win a premiership? We all thought maybe there were a chance to, and just the way they lost and where they go from here is the biggest for mine.
Mine's the positive. I think Richmond have 22 players sets hands and the coach's hands on the cup at the moment. I think their grip on the premiership at the moment, the style of footy they're playing, they are just on fire.
It's done? Can't lose?
They'd have to have a bad day for them to lose.
Right. Do you see it that way too, Lloyd?
I think so. I thought at quarter time, I thought maybe the Melbourne Football Club, wouldn't that be a great grand final? But from that point on, again, I thought, yeah, there's a bit of daylight between Richmond and the rest.
We'll get you to delve into the reasons for that later in the show, Jimmy. But great game, wasn't it, in Perth? Lewis Jetta had played 18 games in 2018 and then took until this stage, you can see the time on the clock and the score, for him to kick his first goal, not just his first goal, his first score of the season. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unlike Lewis. We're used to him in his Swans days, you know, blasting through the middle of the ground and hitting set shots from 50 plus. But he's been playing a lot of half back there for the Eagles, and he provides that rebound, but they're kicking depth. But his last quarter was capped off by this brilliant goal, an amazing Cristiano Ronaldo celebration, Lloydie. But he certainly defended really well first and then hit the scoreboard.
He's had some poor finals, he has, so it was a fantastic moment for him.
It was game on, wasn't it? All throughout the game, and at three-quarter time there were some moments for West Coast, but they stood up wherein it counted, and the two big boys up forward did the job. Josh Kennedy had been targeted and blanketed by that man there, Goldsack, who returned from a knee injury, and he played about as well as he possibly could have, but Kennedy was there when it counted, as was Darling.
Yeah, spot on, Damo. Goldie did a fantastic effort on Kennedy for most of the game, and Kennedy had a bit of ring rust, working his way into the game, dropped a few marks, but he just managed to work his way into it, along with Darling, and it was just, I guess, the class and talent of their entire forward six just eventually wore down Collingwood.
I thought the midfield got right on top too. It was 16 to 10 inside 50s, Damo, in that last quarter, and the weight of numbers for Paul Goldsack and Howe and these type of guys, it just overwhelming.
He couldn't have played him much better. Given his first start. Yeah. Lloydie, you've critiqued Mason Cox. You've pulled apart his game for Collingwood down the other end of the ground.
He's had a great year, but I just thought his lack of experience really showed out the other night, and for him, he's got Phil Davis to contend with this week. So Barras, I wouldn't say bullied him, but he just worked him under the ball, and I don't think he tried anything different right throughout the night. So he's at his best when he floats in from the side. They didn't allow him to do that at all. They just kept pushing him under the ball. So he's got to work.
Was it a tactic pre-match, or was it just the way the game unfolded?
I think they knew how they needed to play him, and he didn't really mix it up at all, Jim.
You were there, Jimmy. What did you notice from the ground?
I think Lloydie nailed it there. They got behind him, they pushed him under the ball, and you see a lot of these marking contests. The last one here, he was waiting for contact and dropped the mark, but they got him in a position a lot of where he was planted underneath the footy, which allowed him a chance to spoil it and bring it to ground.
That loss by Collingwood means they now have to play GWS in a semi-final, and awaiting the winner of that game is Richmond on the following Friday in a preliminary final. The 6-day turnaround for this club, is it an issue in either of your eyes?
Oh, they've got to get through this one first. But I think in an ideal world, every team has a 7-day break for every final, which would be fantastic.
It can't happen, though, can it? I mean, that's the way the draw's configured. Did you have any great dramas with the shorter breaks, particularly at this time of year?
I love shorter breaks because it means the phys-edders, the strength and conditioning guys, couldn't get a hold of you. So for me, then it just turned into footy. It just turned, which I love training, and not all that extra running that goes on the sidelines.
Lloydie, you said off the top that the disappointments were Geelong and the Sydney Swans. The Cats just don't fire in finals since the 2011 flag, really.
No, and it's a big talking point of late too, Jimmy, their first quarters. Is this a mindset for Geelong? Because they just get off to horrible starts and games are often over at quarter time.
Look, they're going to have to review it, and as much as they give credit to the opposition, which they do, it's a pattern now. We see it after buys. In finals, they're behind and they don't score. So there's clearly a pattern of the way they do things leading up to big games and off the back of the bye. So it's either a structure thing, so then they have to change the way they set up at the start of the game, or it's a conditioning thing, not being switched on, ready to go, or physically ready for the game.
Is it deeper than that, though, Jimmy? I mean, we keep saying they've recruited for the now for a number of seasons, and we know the names. I don't need to rattle them off again, but they have bolstered this club to the point where that they can't bolster it any further, and yet they've fallen so short. Last year and the year before in preliminary finals, and then this year can't even get through to the second week.
I think it comes on Chris Scott, because I think you look at Melbourne, Richmond and Collingwood, all front-end, high-pressure teams. Geelong just don't apply any pressure, and they get found out in finals football.
Lloydie, you delve into the list management space by way of trade radio, and you therefore do your prep on this. What will the Cats be doing in this space?
Yeah, I've looked at a number of players here who, to me, either need to be moved on to other clubs or delisted from the club. I just think these guys have let Geelong down or don't get opportunities. So what's the point of having them on the list? And we talk about the top end, but we talk about the bottom end continually at Geelong, letting them down. McCarthy, Gregson never get their bodies right. Zach Smith was overlooked by a 3-game player in Abbott. Menzel, doesn't apply enough pressure. Parsons couldn't get a game. Cramry and Black are just, we'll just say list cloggers might be strong, but that's where they're at the moment. And Thurlow missed out as well, so huge decisions to make on that list.
You're an active player in the list management space at another footy club. What do you say when you see Lloydie saying that about your former club?
Yeah, look, Lloydie's spot on, and that's the balance of making up your list. Now, a lot of those guys, you'd say, are insurance plans, and you can't have too many of those on your list. So, in saying that, you can't have a player there just in case someone breaks down in your senior side. You need all of them pushing for selection, actually challenging, selection committee going, do we go with this player or this player? Not, oh, he's injured, he's our backup plan.
Yep. Melbourne have had injuries. Lever out for the year, Hogan out for the year, and yet they played really, really well against the Cats. Can they go right to the very end, Jimmy, and play the team you expect to be in the grand final, Richmond?
Oh, they certainly can, because as we spoke before, they apply a high amount of pressure around the contest. They actually kick the ball long and deep and try and play the game in their half. But their forward structure now with Wiedemann, they haven't lost anything with Hogan going out, because he and McDonald, their movement across the forward line creates a lot of trouble. But that midfield depth, they've got a lot of numbers that can go through the midfield.
The only worry is their back six, and I've loved what they put Fritsch back there for his foot skills. Salem, beautiful foot skills. That was always an issue for them. That's still their concern for mine. If the other team gets on top in the midfield, can their back six stand up? Jimmy,
you just touched on Sam Wiedemann. His combination with Tom McDonald worked miraculously well, didn't it?
Yeah, I think if the AFL world wasn't aware of Sam Wiedemann, they are now 24 possessions, 3 goals, 7 marks. But again, he's a bit bigger than you'd think. He's nearly 200 centimetres tall. That mobility, he's
clean though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's run and jump. And what McDonald does really well is he gets on the move. He works so hard as a forward, which is going to challenge most key defenders. Just he completely worked over Mark Litzars, who's a great runner, but he was able to turn him up and down around the ground. Same with Wiedemann. You see all these balls, they're just on the move all the time.
It's what the losing sides didn't have. Franklin couldn't do it for Sydney, and they had no support. But big players who can take big marks in finals are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah. The GWS team did a number on the Swans in their elimination final at the SCG, and the score actually flattered. I think the Swans in the end. GWS missed so many opportunities at goal in the second half, but they rolled the dice at selection, didn't they? Green was always coming back in, and that was a plan a long way out. But the selection of Delidio, I really liked. If he's going to be fit, you may as well see what he's got, and he worked, didn't he? Williams came back in and did really well, as did De Boer.
Yeah, all those are high-skilled players. De Boer applies a lot of pressure. Toby Greens an absolute star, but plus 47 in disposals, plus 39 in contested. They nearly had 100 uncontested marks, so they had a clear game plan. And the weight of numbers, they could have absolutely blown Sydney away by even more, because it was nearly 24 more inside 50s as well, Lloydie.
And did it without Josh Kelly, and there's still an unknown as to what he has left this particular final series. We'll know more as the day and the days unfold before their next game. But Phil Davis versus Buddy Franklin, we know what happened last time they played. Phil Davis got injured and Buddy cut up the GWS team, but it didn't work out that way for Buddy this game.
He was let down by his midfield as well, Buddy. But let's talk about Phil Davis. And he spoke on the Channel 7 network actually during the year when he did special comments about how he likes to play Buddy, and he spoke about not letting him get out the back. He has to keep him in front. He likes to have him there so he can't get out the back and dart where he gets on those running goals. So, like we saw with Mason Cox, just kept nudging him under the ball. This one, though, reads it better than Buddy Franklin, gets in front. So he just played the perfect game, took 10 marks, kept Buddy to 2, and in the end, mentally, he just got right on top.
We throw forward now to what Davis will be doing next week against Collingwood. Does he play similarly against Cox to what he did with Buddy there? Is that the plan?
I think so, yeah. He's just a brilliant player, a smart player too, Phil Davis.
A bit like Geelong, they've had a really shocking loss to the Swans, and it was some of their better skilled players who actually made the disposal errors in this particular game. I mean, you wouldn't see Heaney doing this too often. It happened regularly throughout the course of the game. McVeigh, again, Jimmy, a normally reliable ball user, wasn't on this occasion.
Yeah, you're right. The similarities between the Swans and the Cats were pretty close, with the key and experienced players with their kicking efficiency. Under pressure, they just turned the footy over a lot, but the Swans just got bogged in their back half of the ground. Only 30 odd inside 50s is not enough, and it just invited the Giants' pressure. So after a while, it just eventually weighs you down.
All right, it's time. You basically said the other 5 teams alive are wasting their time because Richmond's got... You said before, Richmond has got this flag. Tell us why.
They're so predictable to each other. The chaos movement forward, it's unpredictably predictable. They keep it alive. They fly for marks. They just outnumber really well and they surge it forward. So then they're able to play the game up in their front half, which then allows brilliant things like this to happen, but also Alex Rance and that back 6 just to set up and then intercept the ball beautifully well.
It's also the health of the list, Damo.
Yeah.
Could they... There's nothing really that's gone wrong in a sense. For 2 years, and Kane Lambert came back in. He's able to play his role. This... Just doing the right things, just the way they just get the ball moving forward, apply pressure, lock the ball in their forward 50. As you said, Revolt didn't even kick a goal on the weekend, and yet they get 3 from McIntosh, 3 from Rioli. They just don't rely on any one individual, which
didn't work for the Hawks, and it certainly didn't work for their bigger men. They had a lack of impact in this part of the game when it comes to marks.
Yeah, they just lost their forward structure on the night. Now, it was a bit wet underfoot because it was raining all night, and look, those players, if it was dry and they tried to play that kick-mark style game that we all thought they were going to play, they probably would have came into it a little bit more, but it was the pressure applied around the ball, which, the ball was kicked in long, which then the Richmond defenders are able to peel off and to kill a lot of those marking contests.
The review tape won't be easy watching for some of those Hawks because we've been lauding the younger players leading into the final series, but they didn't have great nights, did they? Harry Morrison made quite a few mistakes, as did James Worpel. Ryan Burton, you'll see in a few moments too, also doing something he would regret doing. So it wasn't a good night for the youngsters.
It's amazing the pattern with Richmond games where teams can be there for 2 quarters, maybe up to 3, and then they start to capitulate due to the pressure. And here was just some of the moments, just little fumbles like that, Worpel, just this nervous handball, and it just bobbles out to the Richmond numbers. Look at the numbers around these young players. Here's Ryan Burton. He had to body line the ball, didn't do it. They pounced the Richmond team. This was another one here from Worpel, just hacked it forward through the pressure. It's amazing. This is all happening in the 3rd quarter. Morrison again. This is game on here.
Yeah.
Fumbles, goes down the other end, they score a goal. That's what Richmond do. You look at the numbers after those mistakes. They overwhelm you.
So many important components to the Richmond team. Josh Caddy being a crucial one. I thought he was really unlucky to not make the All-Australian team. But there's a part of his game which the footy club itself, the Tigers, will not like. And while we're not going to play the sound up here, you can... be made aware that there was a word used here which is just not right to be used in any form now. And he's used it twice. We've heard it ourselves offset, so to speak. And he's clearly targeting Howe on one occasion and also James Frawley. But that football club has moved so well on and off the field now for a number of years. And if they haven't already spoken to Josh Caddy, I expect and I tip that they will be doing so because the cultural shift in the whole game has been significant in this space. And I think it needs to continue. And that man there needs to be spoken to before he plays a game of footy again.
Yeah, he's a very aggressive man, Josh, and sometimes his emotions get the better of him. But you are right, Richmond have made a big cultural shift, and if you're going to keep winning, it's good to be a good winner and humble in victory. And look, they were well and truly on top in those moments. So, yeah, I imagine Damien Hardwick or one of the coaches probably said, hey, if we can just chill out a little bit.
Not making it bigger than it needs to be, but just nip it in the bud and move on. Jimmy, you like to close these programs with something a little bit humorous.
Yes, this is very clever from Jago O'Meara, and Luke Hodge in the commentary is one man who certainly appreciates this sort of manoeuvre. At first, it looks like O'Meara has clocked Nick Vlossen here, but he actually grabs his wrist and pushes it pretty firmly into his face. So I don't think you can get reported for hitting yourself, can you? Oh. It's like the big brother on the little brother sort of stuff.
What if he broke his nose?
I don't know.
Well, Boston might get a week for punching himself, maybe.
Lordy, Jimmy, thank you. And don't forget to keep an eye out for our wash-ups. We'll tackle the 2 elimination final losers this week, the Cats and the Swans. Lordy's got strong views on both those clubs. And thanks for watching Access All Areas. Goodbye.